Hi everyone, welcome back to the Couch Buddies, and tonight we'll have metal clashing.
And we're gonna be very quiet because we're hunting wabbits. Alright, guys. Stick around. Welcome back, guys, to the Couch Buddies. Today we have a whole new round of old and moldy games that were part of our childhood and our teenage days. So if you don't know this channel, what we do basically is two old guys sitting in front of each other, or that was supposed to be the aim of the channel, was supposed to be in front of each other, but with the pandemic and so on, well, doesn't matter. We sit in front of each other, we talk about the old games that we used to play when we were kids. So, without further ado, I'm going to start right off this wonderful Couchisode with a game from the probably the best computer I had in the early 90s. And I'm going to talk about Jaguar XJ220 for the Amiga. This is from 1992, and this was developed and published by Core Design. So Blade, you don't have an Amiga, or you recently got an Amiga, so if you didn't play this, please go ahead, because it's an excellent game, and it's a completely really,
unknown
really
game to me. So go ahead.
I was actually discussing this game the other day with Pixel Thing, because he had recently done a video on his 30 best Amiga games. I think it's 30 games, and I was kind of questioning him on what he would think about this game, versus Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, because was the game
that
from
one
the same.
I know pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So it was from the same time period, and the games are quite similar. But Jaguar XJ220 has a really a really good amount of sleeves up. Not sleeves, or aces up its sleeves, because the game was actually good. So, based on the mythical sports car developed by Jaguar and sold between 92 and 94, the XJ220 is, as of today, one of the most exclusive cars in the world, as there were only 281 of them ever produced. It was also the fastest car on Earth until 1997, when it was beaten by the all-known McLaren F1. Even after going out of production, it held the Nürburgring record of fastest lap for another 6 years, until the year 2000. So, it's a game that revolves around this mythical car, and it's quite a beautiful one. I mean, I must say that, looking at it, it's quite an exotic car, and would love to have one. Anyways, so XJ220 is, at first glance might look like just another arcade racer. Lotus Challenge, as we were mentioning earlier, and Outrun had already established that the genre was a very, that games on this genre was were a very successful sales example. But, just like a Transformer, they're more than meets the eye. It's a racing game with a very well-known checkpoint system, and the objective was to finish first. There are obstacles on the road, tight corners to go through, yada, yada, yada. The usual stuff for these arcade racers. There are a total of 12 countries to race, and in each has 3 different tracks. And here we already have something, unusual. You would always start in England, but then after finishing those 3 races, and obviously scoring points on them, you could actually select the country where to race next. And it was kind of had like an exploration mode where you could explore the globe and see where you want to race next. It puts us right at the center of a competition that is very similar to a Formula 1, where you have a driver and a constructor championship. Among the AI opponents, there were several other brands like Porsche, Ferrari, Bugatti, and this, I believe, was kind of to show the superiority of Jaguar, facing other sports cars brands. I guess it was always nice for Jaguar to see their name on the podium among, these other manufacturers that were also very famous. Now, this is all sounding very good, but I haven't even gotten to the best part yet, at least for me, and that is we could actually do upgrades. You could change the bodywork, tires, brakes, suspension, intake system. Man, this to me was the spiritual predecessor to Need for Speed Underground. I mean, obviously there are other games that you could do customization, but this one was really, really cool. You could even, and in some cases, you could even refuel the car mid-race. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So, XJ220 had a big competitor to go head to head with, considering that Lotus Turbo Challenge 2 was released in the same year. However, for me, this game just takes everything that Lotus was and just made it better. Graphically was way more impressive than Lotus. Because Lotus always seemed like kind of choppy. I mean, it seems fluid, but sometimes there was some turns or places where the graphical environment was actually too heavy, and XJ220 was really smoother in my opinion. All of this is topped off by composer Martin Iveson, another genius that brings to our ears as much pleasure as the game brings to our eyes, who is also known for doing a fantastic job with the music and sound effects for several of the Tomb Raider series. Or several of the Tomb Raider games, as well as for BC Racers. I mean, you probably remember this one. Yeah. So the guy that designed the soundtrack for this game was also the composer for this. But more importantly, Martin also did the sound effects for another one of my Amiga all-time favorites, which is called Wolfchild. And this is a game we're going to have to bring here to the channel, because while investigating a little bit more about Martin, I found out that he was actually the sound effects engineer for this game, which is a game that I absolutely love. Wolfchild, we'll have to talk about it next. Okay. This game, also came out for the Sega CD. Unfortunately, I don't even want to go through it because the Sega CD version was just... I mean, it's not even the same game to me. It's just... To me, it was absolutely horrible. So, again... Another great game that I had a lot of fun with. It's amazing. I did spend more time playing this than the Lotus Turbo Challenge, the second game, because just the soundtrack. You guys, if you played this and if you will play this on some emulation or or whatever, it's a great soundtrack. Absolutely amazing. You guys got to give it a go because it's absolutely really good. The game. Looks great, it's brilliant, plays great, still to this day. So take it up, guys. See if you can, make something out of it. But it's really good.
Yeah.
What about you, Blade?
Well, I'm going to talk about a completely different type of game for a completely different system. I'm going to travel to the Sega Saturn, one of my favorite all-time consoles, that had a very sad ending. But I'm going to talk about the 96 game called Virtual On Cyber Troopers. You played this one?
Yep, I did, yes. On the Sega Saturn, that wasn't mine, but I did play it, yeah.
Now, this was such a cool game. There isn't that much to talk about it, but it was cool and addictive. What could go wrong if you had a 3D fighting game, a versus game, with large arenas, obstacles, robots, and weapons? What could go wrong here?
It's kind of like BattleBots, but, bigger and more serious.
Oh, yeah. No, this was really cool. I felt like the first time I played this game. Have you ever played One Must Fall 2097?
I did, yes.
It almost looked like you picked this game up and you went full 3D with some extra kicks. It was really cool and it controlled actually pretty well. You could actually move the robot pretty well and pretty precisely in the arena and hide from enemy fire. I don't know if many people play this game because every time I talk about this game to people, except you today, actually, people don't know this game.
I actually had a liking for... No, I did have a liking for that type because it was not just 3D. It was actually, 360. You could just go around. It wasn't just, just the models of the characters are three-dimensional. I mean, it was a whole arena with a fully 3D environment where you could go up, down. It's just this. Yeah, but I like the genre. I think it was a pretty cool game. I mean, I don't know why people wouldn't like it.
One of the few 3D fighting games I actually enjoyed because it didn't feel slow and clunky like most of the other games. You had very famous games like Tekken and so on. I was never quite a fan of these games because they felt slow and clunky.
I think that when you put robots in the mix, the thing is that you are not bound to respect, laws of physics or what is possible by the human being. I mean, of course that, some of the moves in games like Virtua Fighter or Tekken or something like that, I mean, some of them were unrealistic. I mean, although Virtua Fighter might have been quite realistic anyways. But the question is, when you put robots, you can just go Michael Bay on it, just put explosions everywhere and that's it, and it makes it good, right?
You can just press a button and blow the arena up.
Yeah, exactly.
Full Michael Bay mode, yeah.
And that works. And that works. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
absolutely fine.
No, but seriously, this was a pretty cool game. I don't know if people try this. This was also available on the PC. I remember playing it on the PC.
I did
But
not.
the Sega Saturn version was the charm. At least it was
Yeah.
the one I played the most. So if you haven't tried this one, just give it a go.
I guess it's the
really,
resolution.
really give it a go. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
awesome.
No, it's good. It's good. It's very
It
nice
is.
and
It
it's
is.
actually fun. I don't know if that had a 2-player mode, but I think it did, right? I mean,
I
or
honestly
not.
can't recall. I remember playing this a lot alone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I used to play it on my cousin's Sega Saturn, but I mean, he was never there to play that with me, so that's it. I mean,
That's why you could play the Sega Saturn.
yeah,
because he
exactly.
wasn't
That's
there.
why I had it to myself because he got
Oh, yeah.
tired of it, and then I was just going there to play it anyway.
Oh yeah.
But good game. That was a good
Yeah.
one. Sega Saturn still
Awesome
holds
one.
those little classics that little gems that we still love to play anyway. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to bring another game today, and I'm going to go back to my Game Boy days, which was
Okay.
probably when I was like 10 or 11, between 10 to 12 years old, maybe, or between 9 to
Let
11,
me guess.
something
You're
like
going
that.
back to the time of this little guy.
Oh yeah. That little guy was my, which one was the one I have, the original Game Boy, and it might sound an unusual game. So I'm going to talk about, and let's just introduce here the game. I'm going to talk about Tiny Toon Adventures, Bab's Big Break. This is from 1992 for the Game Boy, obviously, and it was developed and published by Konami. So quite a big developer that had the rights of the Looney Tunes franchise. So, as a kid, I was a fan of Looney Tunes, and one day when I was going to the store with my mom, I actually asked for a game. So we went to the store, and I wasn't, my mom said she would give me a game. So as soon as I get into the store, what do I see? I see The Hunt for the Red October.
Okay.
Great game. It was a great movie, actually, with Sean Connery. But my mom was against me playing, a lot of games that involved, wars and destruction and stuff like that. And she actually knew the movie because it was a big hit in 1990. And the thing is, and that's why I even mentioned a couple of episodes ago, or Couchisodes ago, that one of the first games I played on the Game Boy was Kirby's Dream Land. We already talked about it here anyways. So, yeah, exactly that one that you have on your hand.
Oh yeah.
So she was against buying Hunt for the Red October, and she saw this game, the Tiny Toon ones. And since I actually liked Looney Tunes, so we kind of compromised on getting that game. And I will not say by any chance that Tiny Toon Adventures is better than the Hunt for the Red October. However, I really enjoyed it, and definitely worth mentioning here. So, Bab's Big Break, or as the title of the game is, tells us the story on how Babs Bunny is going to attempt a career as a big movie star in the big city. Now, obviously, being a little bunny, or a widow bunny, Buster Bunny, Plucky Duck, and Hampton J. Pig gather together, which are her friends, obviously, gather together to follow Babs and ensure she doesn't get into trouble, and also prevent Montana Max of thwarting with her plans. So Montana Max
Is
was...
Elmira in this game?
Yes, there is, yes. But Montana Max was kind of like the antagonist of the Tiny Toons series, which basically was, Looney Tunes characters, but another universe with them smaller in this case, or as babies. During the 4 stages of this game, we can have some helpers such as Dizzy Devil, Fifi LaFoom, among others. And just to be surprised by others that can be a hindrance, like Elmira Duff or Arnold the Pitbull. So, Elmira Duff was quite a nuisance here. Each one of the 3 characters has different weapons. Buster's carrots fly in an arc trajectory. Plucky throws pineapples that can bounce off the background. And Hampton throws watermelons that roll on the ground. So, quite okay. And I remember that it was quite funny to use the abilities of these characters because they were quite well animated.
You should have used Elmira just to run to you and just hug you and squeeze you.
Oh my god. Don't even talk about that Elmira situation in the game anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you will play it and you will see it anyways.
Okay.
You can collect power-ups as well as small hearts to refill your health meter and big hearts to increase your maximum HP. When you lose a life, you also lose half of your collected gems. Now, we haven't talked about the gems, but these can be spent. These are gems that you collect during the gameplay, and these can be spent playing mini games for power-ups or extra lives, but also can be used on the final boss, Montana Max, as I mentioned, in a very clever way. If you come to the last boss fight with 500 gems or more, Montana actually offers you to sell the theater. However, you know, this only leads to an alternative dialogue where in the end, you know, you still have to fight Montana Max, and after defeating the boss, or the final boss of this game, Babs gets to be a movie star and no longer thwarted, her plans being thwarted by Montana Max. So it was a very kid or childish themed game. I mean, it's Looney Tunes, so it's already you know, animated characters and so on. But this was my guilty pleasure. It's kind of like admitting that I like the games of the Little Ponies. I'm not sure if I should have said this. I'm not sure what exactly this is going to generate after this, but well, if people want to joke at me, yes, I liked Little Ponies, the games and the cartoons, and I just didn't have action figures because that was for girls.
Okay,
but
so
I like
DJ,
them.
Save yourself.
But I like them.
Damage. Just shut up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I'm already publicly exposing myself on YouTube, so what else?
Yeah.
Right,
so, guys, don't
great
public
game.
shame him.
Yeah, great game. Try it out. There's a lot of Game Boy emulators that you can use. RetroArch has a ton of them. The ROM is actually quite small. It's a Game Boy game.
Use the actual Game Boy.
Well, for people that don't have it, for example, me, I don't have any Game Boy here with me, so I have to recur to emulation, and it still works quite fine. But yes, guys, it was a very decent game. Try it out because it was quite okay. What about you, Plate? What are you going to bring us today to close the...
I'm gonna close this big.
Okay.
Oh, and really big. With a great game from 1991 that I'm pretty sure you played it. I played it on the NES and on the PC. But I'm going to talk about the version I played more. That's the NES version. And I'm going to talk about The Simpsons. Bart versus the Space Mutants.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did play on the PC. Actually, I believe. I think it was on the PC. Probably it was. But excellent game. Excellent game. Loved it. Well, I mean, there's a lot of hate. I mean, there's a lot of hate about that game online and stuff like that. People don't really find it. Yeah,
it was a tough game.
Yeah, but when you hate a game because it's tough, it doesn't really make you any credible or you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. It's a great game.
The game was fun, and this basically was The Simpsons. I actually got this game back then, and I didn't care what the hell was in the game. It was The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
I just got the game box and went like, bye Caramba.
Exactly.
Now, it was fun, and it basically went along that there was an alien invasion that people couldn't see, and Bart could because he had his special X-ray glasses, and he could see people that were actually infected with the aliens and actually recognize the aliens. And this was a simple platforming game. It was, but the enemies actually moved pretty fast, and it was a hard game. You really had to play it over and over and over just to get to know the scenarios and what would happen. Because if you were just reacting to what was happening, you probably would just die.
I think it was a great game, especially because there was I remember being a wide variety of characters, like enemies. For example, it was not like always the same type of enemies, and you could actually do different things. I mean, you could use the X-ray goggles to pass, you know, to go along them without getting any damage. So, you know, the game was so interesting because of that perspective, and I really liked it, and I played it so much. It was different, yeah, exactly.
And it had different dynamics than most of the games back then. And again, it was The Simpsons. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Do I need to say more?
No, obviously not. I played some Simpsons games. I think probably Simpsons Hit and Run was in a much more recent times. I think that game is from 2004, if I'm not mistaken. And it's already, you know, full 3D game. Quite fun though, but there's some others from the 16-bit era about, you know, it's this one. I can't remember the title of
There was an awesome one on the Mega Drive called Virtual Bart. Ah,
yes,
that was so
yes,
much fun.
yes.
We have
Probably
to talk about
that's
that
the one
someday.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, platformer games. That one I remember very vividly, very vividly. Excellent game that I loved, and I'm still trying to remember if I played it on the NES or the PC, but I think it was the PC, to be honest, because
Knowing you, I'd bet it was on the PC.
It could have been my clone. I had an NES clone.
True.
It could have been on the clone, but I don't really remember where. Yeah.
But
anyways, doesn't really
awesome
matter.
game.
Doesn't really matter.
No.
I guess that's it for today, right, Blake? I guess
Yeah.
we can let people go.
We're
With these
ending
awesome
this
games.
big with the Simpsons. What else?
Exactly. The Simpsons on the big screen. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
remembering
Spider
the movie.
Pig, Spider Pig.
He does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web?
No, we
No,
can't.
we can't.
He's a pig.
Here's a pig. Watch out! Here's the
Yeah,
Spider
the
Pig.
Spider Pig.
Sorry, guys. There was a senior moment that we had.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We had a
Sad,
senior
sad,
moment.
sad.
So we apologize for that. You know, we get too excited when remembering the old classics. Anyways,
And the Spider Pig.
guys, thank you so much for being on that side with us, and you know what to do, or you know the drill. Leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't like. Consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us a lot. We've been noticing that a lot of you that are watching us are not subscribed, so if
Please
you want to
do.
consider doing that, we would really appreciate it, and will help us grow, you know, as usual, you know, like all YouTubers say. No, it helps us grow. If we see that you like it, we'll keep doing it more. So, you know, guys, that's it. I think today we can say goodbye to all of you and wait for you next week for another Couchisode. Thank you very much, guys, and game on.
Have a great week. Game on, everyone.